Greetings, travelers. This is Jim at the Midnight Drive-Thru, and welcome to something a little different. We're going to review a film that I just saw last night. The new film from... I don't even know how to introduce it. I'd like to be able to say it was the film from Stephen King's Dark Tower series, but spoilers, as we get along, you'll see that I don't think that it deserves such a description. So let's get right into it, shall we? I have here somewhere a copy of the trailer that was played, and I'm just going to kind of start by refuting that.
The Dark Tower's always been really important to me. It's been the one story that never really leaves me alone. I just keep coming back to it.
All right, let's start with that statement. In my library, I'm not going to move around because I've got the screen behind me here and all, and it makes things difficult, but looking down at the bookshelf, the Dark Tower series, it's a series of 7 books, 8 books if you count Wind Through the Keyhole, and on my bookshelf they are about yay wide. Maybe 4,000 pages, something like that. If you're going to try to take that and compress it into 90 minutes, something's going to get lost. And for a story that he just can't leave it alone, he sure doesn't seem to have given much of a crap how it was converted into film. But let's move on.
Stephen King's Dark Tower takes you right into a place that you can't even imagine.
Can't even imagine. Well, maybe your imagination is a little less rich than mine, because I can imagine a heck of a lot. And this ain't it. Now, I'm not going to be critical about the actor's accent, British accent, playing a gunslinger who was inspired, by the author's own words, by Clint Eastwood. I can accept that a person might have an accent, and honestly, it doesn't really stand out in the film. But, you know, when the choice of Idris Elba was announced as the person who was going to play Roland Deschain, the gunslinger, there was a certain amount of negative reaction to this because, again, spoilers. I should probably put something in the beginning of the video so I don't have to keep saying this. In the story, there's a significant portion of the plot which revolves around one of the quartet, Odetta/Detta/Susanna, whose Detta personality, because she is schizophrenic, is as outrageously racist as you can possibly imagine. It is cartoonishly racist. And there's a reason for that, and that is developed in the books. But the instant Roland comes into her world, Detta is alerted, even though at that point she is sensing him only as a presence in her mind. She senses his essential whiteness and immediately claws and fangs out. She hates him. And the fact that he is invading and he takes over and drags her kicking and screaming back into his own world, all the more reason for her to really, really hate him. And so the idea that this character would be played by a black man, suddenly all of that makes no sense. The fact that it changes the dynamic of the entire film, people said, you know, how this doesn't make any sense. This is ridiculous. And Stephen King said 2 things. But the one that stuck with me was, I do not care what color the gunslinger is. All I care about is whether he takes care of the quartet. Quartet, in the vernacular of Midworld, means one from many, essentially. Ka is described as a word that is akin to fate or destiny, and Katet, Tet is a group, and so Katet is a group whose fate is joined together by destiny. And so, as long as the gunslinger takes care of the Katet, according to Stephen King, well, that's just fine. It doesn't matter that it requires a complete rewrite of the story, as long as he takes care of the Katet. Only problem is, there is no Katet. One from many? The Katet contains 5 characters. Roland, Jake, and these 2 appear in the film. Then there's Eddie Dean, his wife Susanna, who is the outcome of Detta and Odetta struggling together for supremacy and eventually embracing one another and joining, fusing as one. And then, of course, there is Oi. Let us not forget dear little Oi. So 3 of the Katet have been erased from existence. And instead, in this particular scene, we see this village of people who are seers. It's kind of like a weird twisting of the old people at River Crossing. Except now they're all psychics for some reason. People who are able to detect the shine. Because the concept of the touch, which is what is used through the course of the books, was too alien a concept. Or maybe King is just trying to point people back to his other more popular works so he can sell more books. I don't know. But the touch that Jake got in the books as a result of his interaction with the Rose, which is kind of like the other side of the coin of the Dark Tower, if you will. The Rose, which is a major theme throughout all the books. Starts off little mentions and then grows until it is, at the end, a sea, a field of blood-red roses, and the tower in the center. But now the rose is gone, and Jake's exposure to the rose, which gave him his enhanced psychic ability, his touch, now that doesn't happen. Jake's just psychic from the beginning. And, yeah. No Katet. So, at one point, Stephen King actually said in a tweet, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by how we dealt with the issue of Roland's incompatibility with Susanna being erased. Well, if just cutting them out of the story entirely is your idea of a satisfying resolution, then oh yeah, people will be thrilled. Not. Okay, hang on. First of all, yes, attacking the beams in the film, they actually end up attacking the tower directly. Let's just move forward to that point.
There we go.
Giant arc of power blasting the tower. The problem is, well, that's not what happens in the books. Okay? Children are used, not directly in the books, the children of a village where the story is inspired by the Magnificent Seven, where there's a village whose children are taken, harvested, if you will, and they're all born twins, and something in their brains is sucked out, and it ruins the ones that they take. They take one of each twin pair. And something that is taken out of the children's brains is given to natural psychics to enhance their abilities, and they focus their minds at the beams, and so doing wear them down. That's a whole deep story, and Ted Brodigan, who appears in one of the other Stephen King books, Hearts of Atlanta. Why do I think Atlantis? Hearts in Atlanta. Ted, the Tedster, actually portrays how it is to be a breaker. And there's this whole complex thing of, you can't judge us because we were outcasts and we always just wanted to use our talent. It's not our fault. All that's taken away, and we just take the kids and shove them directly into a machine of no particular description, and beams are shot from it straight at the tower. That never happens. And, yeah, that's stupid. And the idea that Jake is considered to be the jackpot of a find, of a psychic, is not true. Ted Brodigan is the one who is the jackpot. But never mind all that. These aren't those books. This is something new we pulled out of our... Well, you get the idea.
Dark Tower is really a corridor that connects all of Stephen King's work.
Misery, The Stand, and It, The Shining.
Hold on. I want to back up here. What you just saw was a gratuitous nudge for the upcoming It remake project. That was a ride from a theme park that said Pennywise across the top of it, and there are clown faces. So just in case you didn't notice that. The problem is many of the things that are actually related in the film are winks to actual readers, even though we haven't been given the story that the readers are familiar with. In order to appease them, you'll see little things like this screenshot, which is a picture, I'm guessing, of the Overlook Hotel from The Shining. I'm guessing that's the actual place. The hotel from The Shining is an actual hotel. It's obviously been renamed. But it is in Estes Park in Colorado. It's little things like that that pop up all over the place that are the only link to the actual books. The story as presented is just butchered. Absolutely butchered.
This is his magnum opus.
It's his magnum opus. Keep that in mind, people. This is a man who has made dozens and dozens of books. But this is his baby. This is his finest work. The thing that he has spent his whole life, his whole career, building up to this. And this is how he treats it.
Face me, Walter!
The tower will fall.
Roland Deschain, he's a gunslinger. A protector of the Dark Tower.
Now, you saw just there him taking a cylinder full of bullets, a cylinder's worth of bullets, of cartridges, excuse me, let's be correct, because they are Winchester 45s. He takes 6 of them and clunks them into the cylinder. And we're supposed to believe that that works. All right. Any of you who have ever actually handled a revolver, raise your hand. Tell me, do you think you can grab a handful of bullets and throw them at the gun and they're going to go in? No. Roland is fast, unbelievably fast, but it's not magic. He can't throw a bunch of bullets up in the air and then sweep the gun through the air and fish them out like he's got a fishnet. That's ridiculous.
From the Man in Black.
It's the age-old tale of good versus...
Good versus... Yeah, hold that thought. Couple other things you saw there. That roll of splinters going by. That's the house in Dutch Hill, which, by the way, doesn't really look like a mansion. It's referred to multiple times in the books as the mansion in Dutch Hill. It doesn't look like a mansion. It looks like a multi-floor apartment building. Not a mansion. It is sufficiently creepy inside, but of course, in the books, Jake goes in there, and it is his key, the key that he got when he found the rose in the vacant lot. Rose, vacant lot, key. What are all these things? Oh, you know, parts of the story, critical elements of the story which are gone. His key opens this side of the door, and on the other side, Eddie has to carve the key out of a piece of, what is it, ash? I think it's ash. A branch of ash that he slowly carves away, and he has to face his inner demons about the idea that he might fail, that if he fails, the kid will die, and he's terrified about that. And this is a wonderful development arc of Eddie having left his heroin addiction behind and facing up to reality, becoming a man. And all of this is gone. All of this is thrown away because we can't be bothered. And so instead of Roland bursting through the door as it opens and shooting the demon in the house in Dutch Hill, Jake just kind of shrieks and kills it with his shine. Oh. So wrong.
Evil.
Now that right there, that reload, that I would allow. Because he's spinning the cylinder and he's loading them in. Could you do that? It is potentially possible that a person could be that skilled. I'll allow that one. Even though when he's reloading in Tull, the gunslinger is reputed to get sizzled marks on his fingers from pressing the cartridges into the cylinders, into the chambers of the cylinder, excuse me. But that one I'll allow. The others, no thank you. The other issue is with the Man in Black, because we have eliminated not only the quartet, but we've also eliminated enemies. Andy the Robot is eliminated. The TikTok Man and Gasher eliminated. Mordred, Roland's own son, eliminated. This story does not resemble the actual books by any stretch of the imagination, and yet there is a new printing of Book 1, The Gunslinger, on shelves now as a paperback, using the film's poster as its front, and on the back it's got the Columbia Pictures, blah, 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 pushing the film. Anyone who has seen the film who then goes, oh, I would like to read this book to see if there was something I missed, they are going to be so confused because it's nothing to do with it. It's like somebody just stole some intellectual property and said, let's make a completely different story out of it. Hopefully it'll be different enough so that we can't get sued. Except we know that's not true. Stephen King gave J.J. Abrams the rights to the film for $19 because of the whole 19 thing, which, if you watch the movie, you'll have no idea what it's about, other than 1919 seems to point to the desert, because that's where the kid goes. Oh, but of course he doesn't use a portal when he gets to Roland's world the first time. He gets run over by a car. Yeah, that doesn't happen here either. Well, that's okay, because, we do want the kid to be alive, right? Because, at the end of book 1, oh wait, he gets killed again. Not in the movie. Not in the movie. In the movie, you can identify safely with the child because we're not going to kill him off, like happens in the book. Moving along.
I've been fighting the Man in Black for centuries.
He's like the devil, isn't he?
No, he's worse.
Yes, he's much worse than the devil. Because he doesn't have to use deceit or treachery or anything else. He just walks up to people and says, stop breathing. And they stop. Everybody. Other gunslingers. Stop breathing. Dead. Okay. What? No. Just no. Okay? The only thing about them in this regard is that Walter can't be shot by Roland's inherited guns, his birthright. But when one of the guns from our world is drawn, he panics, because he's quite killable. But, of course, the climax in this film is that Roland guns him down. It's not what happens in the books. In the books, Roland's son kills him in a particularly grotesque manner. But I'll leave it to you to discover that if you decide. Just the idea that he is this over-the-top, invincible villain, it's just flat. It's two-dimensional. It's stupid. I would like to slap all the people who made this film so hard that their grandchildren would feel it. That's how stupid this is.
Fine line I'm walking, because he's the only one that could deliver me. Yet I'm the only one that can deliver him.
You can't stop what's coming. Death always wins.
Right here. Dixie Pig. This is supposed to be the Dixie Pig, which is a barbecue joint on, 60th and Lexington? 61st and Lexington? Somewhere around there. It's just a barbecue joint. It's not what appears to be a parking garage with concrete ramps and railings that Roland jumps across from level to level, hurling propane canisters and shooting them to blow them up. Unless you picked up some incendiary rounds while you were in that gun shop, that's not going to happen. You shoot a container of compressed gas with a copper bullet, it's not going to make a spark, it's just going to have a massive outlet of air, or gas. If you had an incendiary round, different story. He doesn't. They're simple copper rounds. Next.
I will kill him for both of us.
And this is the next bit. The fact that Roland and Jake have this little meeting where, in the beginning, Roland introduces himself as, I'm not a gunslinger. Jake has had dreams of the gunslinger and knows he's called a gunslinger, but when he gets there, Roland says, I'm not a gunslinger. Okay. No. Worse yet, he's not interested in the tower. Roland is not interested in the tower. He's only interested in killing Walter, and then he's done. Rubbish. The single driving force, the laser-like precision focus of the man's life, the reason why he is doomed to a temporal loop is because it is the tower and the tower and the tower. 24/7, 365, it's the tower. And this Roland, he can't be bothered. He just wants his revenge for a reason which is not explained in any way in the film other than he killed my father, which, yeah, that didn't happen in the books at all. He just wants revenge, and then he's done. And Jake has to convince him by saying, you're no gunslinger. One of the most beautiful pieces of the books is the interaction between Jake and this surrogate father. Jake's own father, in the books, is a network executive who doesn't really make a lot of time for Jake. It's unfortunate and it's sad. And so it explains why Jake feels this attachment to this man who becomes his surrogate father. In the film, Elmer Chambers, Jake's dad, is dead. He was a firefighter, and he died trying to save somebody. So we've totally changed that. Completely different person, and now he's dead. And yes, it is possible for a white boy to place a black man in his life as his surrogate father. It is possible. I'm aware of it. I've seen it happen. All the same, that's not what happens here. He is disappointed by Roland, a thing which never happens in the books. And so Roland, shamed perhaps by this critical analysis of the boy, ups his game, decides he's gonna give it the old college try and try to save the tower. Well, thank goodness Jake was around. Moving on.
Whether you've read the books or not, you're going on a journey.
I'm enjoying this game.
To see these characters come to life in film, it's really incredible.
It is incredible. It is. And when I say incredible, I mean it is that which is not credible. Some of these characters that are rolling through this camp here, that are here to steal Jake, one of them kind of looks like it maybe is an homage to the wolves of the Kala. I never know how to pronounce that. I guess it's wolves of the Kala. The wolves are robots who come and steal the children to suck their brains. And one of them has a mask that makes it look like probably that's what they're trying to go for. But the rest of them look like orcs. I'm sorry, they look like freaking orcs. One other thing. If we're going to be triggered by racial stereotypes, can you point to me any black people in the headquarters of the Men in Black? No, you can't. They're all white. All the evil people in the film are white. Super white. The nice people, they have a mixture. Yeah? It's always, there's the Asian psychic lady, and then there's this fellow and this fellow and this fellow, but it's just a spectrum. It's a diverse spectrum, but Evil's Camp, 100% right here, baby.
I do not shoot with my hand. I shoot with my mind. I do not kill with my gun. I kill with my heart.
This right here, this scene where these piles of bullets are coming down and being swept into the gun by sweeping it through the air. I just want to point out that this is not the scene as it appears in the film, because all that breaking glass is raining down and the screen is actually full of fragments of glass. So you can't even really take a close look at this action and see that it's doing what is being described.
The tower is all that stands between light and darkness. For thousands of generations, the gunslingers were knights, sworn to protect it. Now I'm the only one left.
The tower will fall. Get used to the carnage.
Now the wars come to Earth.
You really think you can stop me, gunslinger? Come on!
This is the worst. Now remember the Gunslinger's Catechism. I do not aim with my hand. He who aims with his hand has forgotten the face of his father. I aim with my eye. Not using his eye. He's got his eyes closed and he's listening. His magical hearing is hearing chickens and people screaming and the pipe bang against the post. And he hears Jake's screaming. And he shoots, aiming, using his ear. I do not aim with my ear. He who aims with his ear is a dumb shit. Moving on.
Everyone who walks with you dies. No more.
I do not shoot with my hand. I shoot with my mind. I do not kill with my gun. I kill with my heart.
So that's it. That's what you have to work with. It's horrible. It's a horrible, twitching abomination of a film. I knew it would be, so I wasn't disappointed. Other than I'm disappointed in Cy King for having so little regard, both for his own work and for his fans, as to take his masterwork, his magnum opus, his lovely bride, and drag her out on the stage to be roughly handled and humiliated before a live audience. If this is how you treat your loved ones, Tail Spinner, I count myself fortunate not to be in your quartet. So that's it. Yeah. So out of 10 stars, we're going to go ahead and give this 3. Because the effects, cinematography, I have no problem with as far as that goes. The setting in the house in Dutch Hill, the house was sufficiently believably old and creepy. And that, I liked that. Even though the house didn't match the idea of what a mansion in Dutch Hill should look like, it was good. And it looked like it could have been better if somebody actually knew the flippin' story. Yeah. 3 out of 10. All in all, read the books. And that's it for this review of The Dark Tower. Until next time, this has been Jim at the Midnight Drive-Thru saying thank you and drive through. And thanks for watching. No magic bullets in this one.